Hello everyone. This is Dr. Swati Mishra from International School of Business Management at Suresh Gamyar University. And in the previous session, we had discussed the contemporary business models in India. I had also explained you what actually a business model is, and post that we discussed as to what is the prime purpose of the business model and how can one make a business model very successful and effective. How can the efficient business models be created? So after that, I discussed a few business models also with you in the first session itself of this topic, wherein I had explained what is a razor blades model. I had also explained what is a pipes and platform type of business model. I had given you some good examples of also of the same. So, in today's session, we will be continuing with the same topic, and we will further be discussing some more business models and which organizations are using those types of business models. That also I will talk today. So basically, if we talk about the learning objectives of today's session, this session basically aims at giving the learners a deeper understanding of what a business model is. And of course, it aims at providing an understanding of the features of all the basic types of business models that are currently being used by various well-known organizations, and it also aims at giving an insight to the business model designs to the learners. Okay, so after this session you will have a detailed understanding of what a business model is. You will have an understanding of the features of the basic types of business models. You will also have an in-depth understanding of business model designs, right? So last time also I had discussed and explained you as to what a basic business model is, so that you have an understanding of what exactly we need to understand from the different types of business models and why we are studying it. So we'll just have a brush up once again as to what a business model is. What do I call a business model? So a business model basically describes the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures the value in the economic, social, cultural, or other contexts. So the process of business model construction and modification is also called as the business model innovation. And this basically forms the main part of the business strategy, right? So if you talk about this business model in their simplest form, the business models can be broken down into three main aspects, which are also depicted on the screen in front of you. So these aspects are everything it takes to make something. Okay, that is how I have put it into words. So which means, whenever you are doing business, everything that it takes to create that business, the design, the raw materials, manufacturing, labor, everything. So all that will be included into your business model. Secondly, everything it takes to sell that thing, right? Which means whatever you are producing, your product, your services. So everything that would be required to sell your product, right from the marketing distribution to delivering a service, and of course to process the sale. And by process the sale, it doesn't only mean to just sell it and be done with it. See, whenever we buy an automobile, or maybe we buy an electronics appliance, what happens is that once we've purchased it, that organization sends its guys to install that electronics appliance in your house. They give you a free demo session, They tell you how to keep it well maintained. Like if you have purchased a microwave or a washing machine or a new television, they'll come, install it, tell you how to use it, tell you its main features, tell you how to maintain your washing machine, how to maintain your microwave, how to clean your appliances. So, all that is actually included into selling your product, right? The better your post sales services are, the more improved sales you are going to have, the better your brand value is going to be for a customer. So then, of course, the third thing is how and what the customer pays, which means the pricing strategy, the payment methods, the payment timing, and so on. So all these aspects, I've just broken them down into three parts, but everything is inclusive in a business model design. I hope you're understanding. So that is how I would describe a business model to you, right? So while talking about this business model, as we move ahead, when you are first starting a business, one of the most important parts of the process is actually planning for it, right? So although it can be very tedious, you will want to take the initial time to determine what you will be selling, who your customers are going to be, and how your business is going to make money out of it. So you will always want to select a business model and incorporate this design into your planning and research. So in today's session, we will walk through a business model definition, broken down into different types of business models. I'll also give you examples of these business models for a in-depth understanding. I don't want to make it very bookish for you. I'm not brought in some bookish language also for you. It's going to be a real life conversation in which I intend to actually make you understand the business models. So we will also discuss how you can identify, the best one for your business also. So this is what the idea of this business model is. And as you all know very well, when we talk about the business models that, you know, uh, if we put it into words, a business model is basically an outline of actually how a company plans to make money, right? If I want to put it in a simpler language. So when its products and its customer base and in a specific market is concerned, at its core, a business model actually explains four main things. Always remember it. And what are these four main things? These are what the product or service a company will sell, how it intends to market that product or service, what kind of expenses it will face, and how it expects to turn a profit. So because there are so many types of businesses out there, business models are constantly changing. Every organization, keeps coming up with new ideas, new types of business models to as per their preferences to actually make their business more profitable. And although we will be discussing some of the most common types of business models in these sessions of Indian business houses, but there is not one size which fits all type of models. Okay, I will not say that okay, this is one particular model, you can fit it in every type of scenario. There is no such type of model which will suit every business. Okay, so that is why every organization has its own different type of business model. So now we will let's move ahead, and now we will discuss as to what are the most common types of business models. Some of them I have listed here in front of you on the screen. You can see the names of some most common types of business models which are seen today in the contemporary world. And because we are discussing the contemporary business models, I have listed a few contemporary business models here, and they are the subscription model, the bundling model, the freemium model, the razor blades model, the product to service model, leasing model, crowdsourcing model, and there are a few more like one for one model, franchisee model, distribution model, manufacturer model, and retailer model. So I will be discussing in these sessions, maybe in today's session and one more session, I will be discussing 12 main types of business models. Apart from this, when we conduct some case studies of business models of some major brands in India which are running in India, or some major Indian business houses, therein we will be discussing their business models as well. So, when we talk about a business model, there are a few essential components of a business model, right? So once we have already defined as to what a business model is, we know that, okay, this is the definition of a business model. So, you know, you have to, before we try to actually summarize as to what are different types of business models, you have to keep a few things in mind. And you have to understand that, whenever we are outlining that business model, you have to understand, first of all, that what kind of product or service a company is going to sell. That is the first point, right? Secondly, how it intends to market that product or service. Thirdly, what kind of expenses it is going to face when it is trying to produce that product and perhaps sell that product. Then, of course, the next thing that it has to keep into mind is how it expects to actually turn a profit. For example, even though Netflix is such a large enterprise and has a few different ways of making money, when it comes down to it, it expects to earn a profit from its subscription sales, right? So, and since the first type of model that we will be discussing today is going to be a subscription model, so that is why I just came across with this example. So ultimately, then it's imperative to understand how your business will make money, and enough money to remain profitable after the startup, and additional costs are factored into the equation. So then you will design your business model accordingly, right? So there are, of course, a few essential components also of a business model that I have mentioned in front of you. You can see it on the screen also. So when it comes down to it, a business model can vary in form as well as in function. As you can see from the business model definition that I have just spoken to you about at the start of this session. So, and I've also given you some brief examples in the previous session also and this session also. So, they all consist of some basic components, whatever business houses are. Although it is true that, every business house is going to have its own separate type of business model, there are a few essential components. These essential elements of a business model include the unique value proposition, a viable target market, and of course, a competitive advantage that you have over others, right? So without these elements, you don't have a way of actually generating value, okay? Or, actually generating value and generating revenue also. So business models aren't just about income. You also need to consider the production cost, other factors also, in order to see the full picture in view. So what goes into creating a business model actually? That is what is depicted on your screen. So this is, these are a few essential components that are required to actually create a business model. First of all, the first terminology that has been mentioned is the value proposition. which means a feature that makes your product extremely attractive to the customers as compared to any of your competitors' products. Second feature is the target market, which means any specific group of consumers who are interested in the same type of product. Thirdly, your competitive advantage, which means the uniqueness of your brand or the unique features of your product or the service that cannot be easily copied by any other brand, right? Then, of course, the cost structure, which means a list of the fixed or the fixed as well as the variable expenses which your business requires to function, and how these are actually affecting the prices. So then, of course, the next one is none other than the key metrics. So what is this key metrics? These are actually the ways in which your organization or your company is measuring the success. Okay, so these are the key metrics actually. Then once we have understood what are the these major important aspects of creating your business value, there are a few more to be kept in mind, like the resources, which means the physical, financial, and the intellectual assets of the company, which have to be not only savored, but also they have to be uh, uh, furbished and presented in front of your target markets or the target customers so that they could be sought after by the customers. Then the problem and the solution, which means your target customers pain points, what kind of problems your target customer is having and how you can give a solution to that problem. So because why I'm talking about this problem, because every organization that is producing any new product or a new service is actually keenly observing the customer base, and they are trying to find out what are the problems that are existing in a society and how we can give a solution to those problems, right? And whenever you are coming up with a perfect solution to the problems of the customers, that is a product that is going to sell in the market, and people are going to look for it and going to purchase it. And of course, the next is the revenue model, which is nothing but a framework that actually identifies the viable income sources to be pursued, and the revenue streams, which means the various ways in which your company can generate income. And of course, then comes the profit margin, which is the amount of the revenue which exceeds your business costs, and thus at the end, an organization becomes profitable. So now let us move ahead and talk about the business models that are supposed to be discussed in today's session. As I told you that in these two sessions, today's session and the next session, we will be discussing somewhere around 12 different business models. So today we will be discussing half of them, and the half of them will be discussed in the next session. So the first business model that I want to discuss with you is the subscription model. So a subscription business model can be applied to both traditional brick and mortar businesses as well as the online businesses alike. Okay, and essentially, as we explained in reference to the Netflix, which I just spoke to you about, what is the customer doing here? The customer is actually paying a recurring payment, like monthly fees or subscription fees annually or monthly or fortnightly, on the another or any time frame that is decided, so that they can get in access to the service of that company or the product. So in this case, a company may, directly ship its product through mail to the person, or maybe you can pay a fees to use a particular application. So if we talk about the basic example of a subscription model, uh, you know, in addition to Netflix, there are other businesses also who are using subscription model. They include HelloFresh, Beer Cartels, Stitch Fix, as well as other streaming services like Hulu, HBO, Go, and Disney Plus Hotstar also, who have amalgamated together for their subscription businesses. So that is what is a subscription model. So I hope you've understood that these types of businesses are actually taking the license of a product, of some other product, and they are letting some other customers get an access to it, right? For example, if Netflix takes a license to air one particular movie, and I have the subscription of that movie, I can watch it by paying my rental fee. So that is what is a subscription model. After that, the next type of business model that I want to discuss with you is the bundling model. So now, what is this bundling model? It is just like the way it sounds. The bundling business model actually involves the companies, selling two or more products together in a bundled package as a single unit, right? And often they actually tend to charge a lower price for that bundle than they would charge by selling these products separately. Is that understood? And it's very common, there are lots of examples. I'm giving you the most basic example possible. Like you go on shopping apps like GeoMart, Big Basket, and all, and sometimes Big Bazaar. What are they doing? They are creating a combo of two, three different products. And if you buy that combo, you are going to save some money out of that actual MRPs of those three products if they were purchased separately, right? So this even happens in case of big baskets. Say if you buy a combination of 1 kg tomato, 1 kg onion, 1 kg potato, then you have to pay only 60 rupees, whereas this as assortment, if purchased separately, would cost you 75 rupees. So you are saving 15 rupees over that purchase. And for a country of savers like in India, it really matters to people like us, and customers are actually delighted by those savings. So this is what is bundling model. So this type of business model actually allows the companies to generate a greater volume of sales and perhaps market products or services that are more difficult to sell otherwise. However, the profit margins often shrink a lot sometimes, since the businesses are selling the products for cheaper prices, right? So businesses that use such type of bundle modelings also include AT&T, Adobe's Creative Suites, who are selling softwares in bundle packages, Burger King, as well as some other fast food companies that offer value meals and different types of deals for the customers. If you buy a bunch of products together, you will be charged lesser than the actual cost or the actual price. So this is what is bundling model. I hope I've made it clear to you. Let's move ahead and talk about our next model in discussion, which is freemium model. So the freemium business model has gained popularity with the prevalence of online and software as a service businesses, which we also know as SaaS in short form, SaaS. So the basic framework of this type of business model actually goes like this, that there is a software company host, and it provides a proprietary tool for their users to free access, such as an application or maybe a tool. Okay, so it is, what is it doing? It is giving you a free access for some software or some mobile application that you can use, the software company. However, the company withholds or limits the use of certain key features, right? That over time, their users will likely want to use more regularly. For example, like if I want to use video editing software, so there might be one nice video editor software that is there, like I'll give you an example of Filmora. So what will happen, I will use that software, I am delighted by the features, but then once I have created my entire video, I found out that it is leaving a watermark. It was for free, but it is leaving its watermark. Now, if I don't want that watermark on my video, what will I do? I will have to purchase, the subscription of that software by paying for it. Or maybe, sometimes, you will get to use, subscription of some uh, mobile application, like, wherein you can socialize, or sometimes edit your photographs or something like that. But when you want to use some specific features for editing your photographs, you will have to pay the fees for it. So to gain that access to those key features which are required by the users have to pay for the subscription. Okay, so this is what is a freemium model, which means that you ask the people to join for free, but you withhold some important key features. And once the people are into it and they are using it and they get a habit of using it, and whenever they want to use some key feature, you withhold it for some subscription price, and the people have to pay for it. So this is a freemium model, and we commonly see this today. All of you must be using multiple such applications on which initially when you logged on they were free, and later on when you wanted to use them more, you had to pay for it. Similarly, Spotify also follows premium model. It gives users free and open access to its entire database of music while sprinkling in ads between the songs. And then at one point or at some point of time, many users opt to pay for a recurring monthly fee for the premium service so that they can stream music without interruption, right? Like, if you're not liking that interruption of advertisements after each song, and you want to play your music list constantly, say you are sitting with your friends in your balcony and you're enjoying your time, and suddenly an ad comes and you were listening to songs and an ad comes, and then what do you want? You want to pay the subscription fee so that you can get an uninterrupted playlist of songs. So there are multiple such examples of the business models which are using freemium model business, and they are Spotify, LinkedIn, Skype, Mailchimp. These are all the businesses that use freemium model. Then of course there is this razor blades model. We had discussed this in the previous lecture or previous session also. So I have come up with a very simple little example for this session, so that you will quickly have a recap of what we had studied in the previous session. To understand this razor blades model, you can simply look at a drugstore and you will notice that from where you went and bought a razor, right? So you will notice that the replacement razor blades always cost more than the razors themselves. Okay, and this is what is the razor blades model. So companies often offer a cheaper razor or any other cheaper product with the understanding that you will continue to purchase, more expensive accessories with it. And in this case, the razor blades, as I just said, and in the future, you have to buy them for a higher price. So for this reason, this model is actually referred to as razor blades model. So in addition to this traditional razor blades model, you will also see companies use the reverse razor blades models, in which they offer the customers a high margin product and then promote the sales of the low margin products that accompany that initial product. Okay. Another example that I gave in the previous session also was of printers. Say you buy a printer, and then the cartridge that you want to refill in it is more expensive. So, and another classic example of this model is Apple iPhones and Macs. You purchase the higher margin item, the reverse razor blade model I'm talking about. You purchase the high margin item, the phone or the computer, and then Apple pushes the additional products like the tools, the services that accompany that item. So, on top of the razor companies which are using the business models, there are some examples of general razor blade models, including Kedwick, Brita, Xbox, and the printer and the ink companies. Okay. So now we move ahead towards the next, model, and this is the second last model of this session that we will be discussing, which is product to service model. So in this model, to understand this model, I'll just give you a small example. Imagine that you are the owner of a company that makes scooters, and scooters, and let's say you need two pieces of metal welded together. So, what are you going to do? You are going to ask some other company to weld those pieces of metal together for you, right? Rather than going and purchasing welding machine yourself. So, in essence, this example actually shows how the product to service models work. These companies actually, the companies which are using this product to service model actually allow the customers to purchase a result rather than the equipment that delivers the result. Okay. So companies that use the product to service model would include Zipcar, Uber, Lyft, and Lime. So I hope you've understood. Uber is providing you the services of picking you from one stop and dropping you at your destination, and you don't go on buying automobiles just because you want to, transmit from one place to the other. So that is what is your product to service model. And the next model in discussion is leasing model. So, of course, under a leasing business model, a company buys a product from a seller, and that company then allows another company to use the product they purchased for a periodic fee. Okay, which means they lease out it. This many times happens in some kinds of hotel chains also. Like there is a hotel and it leases it out to Oyo rooms, wherein Oyo captures a few rooms of your hotel property, or maybe sometimes the entire property, and they are selling out your rooms on their websites, considering some basic standards to be maintained by your hotel chain, and it's been leased out. And sometimes Oyo is of course a separate concept, but sometimes an entire hotel is leased out and it's given to some other person for running that hotel. So under this leasing business model, I hope you have understood that this company is buying a product from the seller, and the company then allows another company to use that product. Okay, so U-Haul and Rent a Center and all these are examples of the companies that use this leasing type of business models. So with this, we have almost come to an end of today's discussion. We have discussed the basic essentials of any business model, and then we started discussing the basic business models of which are being used by different business houses. These are all contemporary business models that I have explained to you. And now I am just showing a few quiz questions to you, which would be of help for you people. Here's my first question. A business model describes the rationale of how an organization A creates, B delivers, C captures the values, D all of the above. And the answer is D all of the above. Here's the next question. The process of business model construction and modification is also called A. Business model resurrection, B. Business model innovation, C. Business model implementation, D. None of these. And the answer is D. Business model innovation. Here is the next question. The core aspects of a business include A. Sourcing, B. Trading practices, C. Operational processes, D. All of these. And the answer is D. All of these. So let's move ahead towards the next question. Question number 4. Under a leasing business model, a company buys a product from a seller. That company then allows another company to use the product they purchased for a periodic fees. A. True, B. False. And the answer is A. True. Here's my next question. Question number 5. Razor and blade business model involves offering a basic product at A. Very low cost, B. Very high cost, C. Moderate cost, D. None of these. And the answer is A. Very low cost. Question number 6. Zipcar and Uber use which of the following type of business models? A. Leasing, B. Razor blades, C. Product to service, D. Freemium. And the answer is C. Product to service business model. Here is the 7th question. Companies like Netflix and Disney Plus Hotstar use which of the following types of business models? A. Leasing, B. Razor blade, C. Subscription, D. Freemium. Yes, the answer is C. Subscription. Here is the 8th question for you all, and the question goes like this. The bundling business model involves companies selling 2 or more products together as a single unit for A. Higher price, B. Lower price, and C. Same price. And the answer is B. Lower price. Sorry, it was wrongly typed over here. Here's the next question. In their simplest forms, business models can be described as A. Everything it takes to make something, B. Everything it takes to sell that thing, C. How and what the customer pays, and D. All of the above. And the answer is D. All of the above. The next question is question number 10. The business model is an outline of how a company plans to make money with its product and customer base in a specific market. A. True, B. False. And the answer is A. True. So with this, we have almost reached to the end of this session. And we have discussed around 6 business models. If you have any queries, please leave them in the message boxes and I will definitely answer to them. And that is all for this session. In the next session, we will be taking this topic further, wherein we will be discussing the remaining 6 business models that I have to discuss with you people. And further, we will also be discussing some very important case studies of Indian business houses wherein we will be discussing some contemporary business models which these business houses have been using. And these case studies will be far enlightening for you as far as understanding of these business models is concerned. The greater in-depth understanding of these business models will ensure that when you finish this course of Indian business houses, you will be having an in-depth knowledge of all these models, so that at one point of time when you get selected in some organization, you actually understand that what kind of business model is running in that organization. This will help you plan your working procedures, develop your own strategies along with this. And that is why, understanding of these business models is extremely important for any learner of business management today, especially these contemporary business models, because the way these scenarios of businesses are changing, especially at these COVID time. We saw that the hardcore mall crawling culture was brought down to online shopping. And because of this, we saw the growth of online businesses a lot, and people started believing in the fact that yes, we can also shop by sitting at home instead of always going around in the malls and searching and looking for the products. And of course, a lot of these online businesses have created such easy shopping practices and such easy shopping experiences that they are even better than going to a mall sometimes. Like if I buy a dress from Mintra, and say if I don't like it, or maybe the size doesn't suit, the color is not the way I could see it on the website, or if there is any fault or defect, I have an easy return policy also, and that lasts for another 7 days of the purchase, sometimes even more than that. So what happens is that if I'm not liking the purchase product that I bought, I can easily return it, and I can get my money back, and I can do some shopping of some other product from that money, and they easily transfer the money. All the practices of these online businesses are so fair that the customers actually feel valued and delighted. So, all these websites, be it Amazon, be it Flipkart, and sometimes, the actual brick and mortar businesses like DMart, the big businesses like DMart, Big Bazaar, these are all, of course, the, retail hubs that I'm talking about. They all have created some real good practices and some real good business models in which we can see that they are creating a lot of customer delight. So these business models have taken these businesses to great heights. And if we talk about the traditional business houses also, which we have already discussed till date, I mean, like we've had so many different sessions in which we have discussed some big Indian business houses. They also have their own business models, and sometimes the same organization which is running multiple different businesses, say Tata's is running hotels also, Tata Steel also. So for every different business unit that they have a separate type of business model. So that is why it is very important for you people to understand this topic into greater depth. And I will also provide you some learning materials for this, so that you can understand the different types of business models in greater depth, because discussing each and every model in detail on online sessions is not that easy. So we will be, slowly completing these few business models that I want to discuss in the online sessions. And after that, of course, I can provide you lots of teaching material for the same. And that is all from my side for this session. So this is Dr. Swati Mishra from International School of Business Management at Suresh Gyan Vihar University, signing off. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.